Hi, everybody. I'm gonna wait just a couple seconds, see if a few people hop on, make sure I'm on the right page. If you hop on live, throw me a thumbs up or a heart or something just so that I can make sure that you all can hear me. Wait just a couple more seconds. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Beth Isbell. I see a couple eyeballs, so we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Beth Isbell. I am in Lindsay's down line somewhere. And she asked me to hop on today to kind of share with you all something that that's really close to my heart in terms of my business, because it's played a big role in my business, kind of shifting, going through a really big life phase of pregnancy, and kind of how to navigate and continue to grow your business through pregnancy specifically. But hi, Susan. But I wanted to kind of, whenever I was sitting down and kind of thinking about I wanted to be sure that I gave you guys some really applicable tips to implement within your business and some specific practices that I feel like really helped kind of get me through a big kind of life transition and phase in terms of my business. But I felt like I kind of wanted to take a step back and kind of approach this from a more general perspective in terms of just navigating and specifically growing your business through life in general, because you may not be going through pregnancy and needing that, that may not even be anywhere in your near future, but maybe you're going through something else that's life changing, and it's impacting your business, and you're trying to figure out how to continue to grow and build your business in the midst of all of that, and all the struggles and challenges and obstacles that are being thrown your way, regardless of what it is that you're going through. So I kind of came up with a couple tips, tricks, if you will, that I feel like you can really implement regardless of the phase of life that you're in, and regardless of what it is that you're kind of trying to figure out how to navigate. So just kind of a little bit of a backstory. My examples and kind of references throughout the course of this specific content will be in relation to my pregnancy, because that's kind of what triggered this content, is the fact that I have a 9-week-old baby. And I kind of went through a lull and a really big growth period in my business while I was pregnant. And so that's kind of where this content is coming from. So that is why my references will kind of be in relation to that. But I want you to put yourself in the context of this content and apply it to you in your life and your business where you're at right now, even if it's not pregnancy. But just know that's kind of where my examples may be coming from. So I found out I was pregnant July of last year. I just had my baby in March, and I had a really rough pregnancy. The first 3/4 of my pregnancy, all the way into my 3rd trimester, I was really sick, could hardly work out at all, could hardly eat anything, much less anything healthy. I couldn't drink my shake, I couldn't drink my Energize. It was just a really rough pregnancy. All of that to say, I found myself getting to a place in my business where I felt like it was really hard to work my business, because I felt like I didn't have anything to share. Like, I was bedridden for months at a time, and once I was out of the bed, I still couldn't work out, and I still couldn't, eat on plan and drink my shake and share those things. So I felt like I couldn't add any value to anybody else's life, which in turn impacted the way that I worked my business, which in turn impacted the results I was getting from working my business. So I will say that I went from hitting Success Club 10 for like 13 or 14 months in a row to not even hitting Success Club 5 1 month while I was pregnant, because of the lack of effort I was putting into my business, because I kind of just chalked it up to a waste of effort and a waste of energy, and that nobody was going to join my challenge group or want to join me on this coaching journey when I was stuck in a bed. I couldn't work out, I couldn't show progress or results, or I couldn't share what I was doing because I didn't have anything to share. Like, I was just kind of trapped, I felt like, in this sort of life phase that I was in. So that was directly reflected in my business and in my business activity. And so I missed Success Club for the first time in forever, could not even hit Success Club 5. And it was that month, it was in November, that I missed Success Club, that I kind of reality checked myself and kind of gut checked myself. And I took a step back and I really asked myself, why am I allowing, oh, sorry about that, you guys. Why am I allowing something that is so beautiful and something that is such a big part of my life, even though it was a struggle and it was hard and it was a challenge to survive it, why am I allowing something such as this, such as my pregnancy, to control my business in a negative way? Like, we are taught as coaches through personal development and through our putting our journeys first that every piece of our story is important and is valuable, and somebody else is going through what we're going through, and somebody else needs to hear what we have to share, right? So why had I allowed myself to kind of get to this point of feeling like I didn't have anything valuable to share with other people? And I will say that because I had allowed my pregnancy to really control and dictate what the progress of my business was looking like, and because I couldn't be a product of the product in terms of doing my workouts or drinking my shake every day, I allowed that to control the fact that I wasn't doing any of the other vitals, right? Like, I was not inviting people because I felt like, why would they want to join me if I wasn't even doing what I'm going to ask them to do with me? And I wasn't doing personal development because I had just kind of wallowed myself into this hole, if you will, this hole of negativity, which we so often do as humans in general, right? Like, one little kind of negative thought somehow, if we allow it to, can spiral into just crazy amounts of negativity in our lives, and we don't see the value. We lose sight of the value in personal development. And so I had allowed all of that to happen. And so in November, when I missed Success Club, I kind of took a step back and I asked myself, like, what can I do to continue not only navigating this business, but to leverage this experience that I'm going through to continue to grow my business? And so I'm going to kind of give you three specific, like, I'm a really kind of like practical type of person who likes specific takeaways from training. So that's what I'm going to give you, is three specific things that I feel like I reminded myself of and started to implement in my business that really caused a huge shift in the way my business was growing while I was pregnant and then immediately postpartum as well. So let me just say that I did this sort of gut check in, Lauren, I'm so glad that this is helpful, in December. And ever since January, I have hit Success Club 20 every single month since then, after implementing these three things. And of course, getting back to the roots of using my business activity tracker. But the first thing that I want you to write down is to always remember that you have an audience. You always have an audience. It doesn't matter what life phase you're in, what you're going through. It doesn't matter. You always have an audience that needs to hear what you have to share. And so that's the first thing that I want you to remember. For some reason, I felt like I had like secluded myself into this little bubble of thinking that I was the only person that ever had a rough pregnancy, and like nobody needed to know that it's okay to like not be this glowing, happy, excited pregnant woman. And because I had like kind of retracted and kind of just pulled myself away from a community that I knew could help support me and get me through this piece of my life, it just made it that much harder to get through. And so by remembering that that there's always somebody out there that needs to hear what you have to say, really kind of forced me to share all the pieces of what I was going through, which I'm going to talk about in just a second, and not just feel like the only value I could provide was my progress photos from my 21-day program, or how the coaching opportunity has changed my life, and this, that, and the other thing. So it really allowed me to be able to figure out how to speak to the people that I needed to speak to at that specific point in my life and what I was going through. The second thing I want you to write down is really simple. Continue sharing your story. You still have a journey and you still have a story. Just because you're going through something that's more challenging, or that you may see as like an obstacle or struggle, even more of a reason to share your story. Because like I said a second ago, there's somebody out there that needs to hear what you have to say, and even more so when you're going through the hard, because we all know that lots of people like to utilize social media and Instagram specifically as a highlight reel, and that it's when we share the real that we're really able to connect with and build trust with other people. So I don't know why I felt like, because I was going through something that was challenging, like nobody else on the planet would understand it, and nobody else wants to hear the struggle that I'm going through, because everybody talks about how positive and motivating and inspiring I am, and by sharing this piece of my life, they're going to see that I'm a little less perfect than they think I am, and nobody's going to connect with me. Wrong, wrong, wrong. It even sounds silly saying it out loud, but that is what I had told myself over and over enough times to have convinced myself that that was the truth, and it wasn't at all. So we know that by sharing your story, you're talking to your audience about where you've been, where you're at, and where you're going, right? And more specifically, intertwining how Beachbody and this coaching opportunity and our programs has impacted every aspect of that journey, right? So like during my pregnancy, I told my husband so many times during my pregnancy that I'm not sure how I would have mentally, like not only was it physically a challenging pregnancy, but I don't know how I would have mentally gotten through the pregnancy if it wouldn't have been for the coaching opportunity that I found 2.5 years ago. Like the personal development that I had done and the way I had shifted my mindset and my perspective around just life in general and getting through hard crap. I don't know how I would have survived my pregnancy without it. Why the heck wasn't I sharing that with other people, right? Like just because I was stuck in bed for days at a time, or I was so sick I couldn't do my workouts, or I couldn't eat anything but ramen noodles, why did I feel like Beachbody still wasn't playing a role in how I was getting through the day-to-day and honestly just surviving at that point? So continue sharing your story no matter what phase of life you're in, where you've been, where you're at, where you're going, and how Beachbody has played a role in that. So like I said, why I asked myself, why was I not sharing how Beachbody pre-pregnancy had played a role into how I was surviving pregnancy? And why was I not sharing with other people how excited I was to start my postpartum journey? Because I had all of the tools and resources that I needed and that I knew had been proven to me before to work. Why wasn't I sharing that excitement with my followers and with my audience? So that's number 2, continue sharing your story and intertwine how Beachbody and the coaching opportunity in our programs has impacted every aspect of that journey. And then the third thing that I wanted to leave you with is to target new connections that align with that life phase. So for example, a way that I grow my Instagram account is by targeting followers of larger pages that I feel like would have similar interests, or followers that I know that I would connect with on a personal level, or that are, interested in the same thing as me, or so on and so forth. So I started to shift my focus on making those new connections with people who were in the same life phase as me. So I would follow accounts that targeted pregnant women. So like whether it was, like maternity athletic wear, or just maternity Instagram accounts in general on like baby products, and I'm drawing a blank, but you catch my drift. And I would connect with the followers of those accounts because they were either in the same life phase as me at that moment, or they were at some point and now they're on a postpartum journey. And I would connect with them because those followers I knew with this content that I knew that I needed to share as to, the struggles and the challenges that I was going through, but how Beachbody has given me the tools that I needed to survive pregnancy and afterwards, that audience and those followers were who needed to hear my story. So I specifically targeted followers of those accounts. And then something else that I did was I knew that I needed like maternity things anyways, like maternity clothes and athletic wear and things like that. And so I would either reach out to specific companies that had things like product that I wanted to promote to my followers that I felt like my followers could benefit from. For example, like there's a company called Blinky that had a maternity leggings that I just loved. So I reached out to them, purchased a pair of their leggings. There was another company, Bay Maternity, that had like a really awesome belly band that I wanted to use during my workout. So I reached out to them and they sent me a belly band. And I kind of partnered with them to try out their product, first of all, like the leggings and the belly band. If I loved them and wanted to share it with my followers, I would promote their products to my followers. And then guess what? they would feature me on their accounts. Well, guess who follows Bay Obey Maternity Instagram? Pregnant women, or women who have recently been pregnant, who are now postpartum, who may be on a fitness journey, because they primarily sell, Bay Obey Maternity primarily sells ProBump supports, which are used for all parts of pregnancy, but a lot of women use them to work out while they're pregnant, and then leggings, which a lot of women who work out while they're pregnant wear leggings. So that I knew that that audience would be my people, right? And would be the people that I needed to connect with at that part of my journey. So that was the third thing that I did, was I just ensured that the new connections I was making aligned with that life phase that I was in. So I'm a little bit over time, so I want to recap that really quick. I hope that it wasn't like super scattered and all over the place and that it made sense. And like I said, I know I talked about pregnancy specifically because that's kind of how this topic came up when we were talking about what I was going to share with you guys. But I wanted to title it Navigating and Growing Your Business Through Life, because it doesn't matter if you're going through pregnancy or something else that you feel like is hindering your ability to grow your business. For some reason, we like subconsciously tell ourselves that because we aren't able to follow a program from start to finish because of an illness, or because we're pregnant, or because we're sick, or we can't drink our shake for whatever reason, or we can't, we're stuck in bed for whatever reason, that we don't have value to share, and we don't have content to share, and that there's no way people are going to want to join us on this journey because I don't have six-pack abs right now and I'm growing a human, right? Like, so silly. It's in those life phases and in those moments where you're going through those obstacles and those struggles and those challenges that we need to lean into them and not away from them. And my business has grown so much over the past 3 months because I implemented these 3 things back when that Success Club record was broken for me. And it really made me take a second look at what I was not doing in my business. So the first thing is to remember that you always have an audience, no matter what you're going through. Second thing is to continue sharing your story. Don't stop sharing your story because you feel like you're at a bump in the road or you're at a crossroads. And when you are sharing that story, I want you to share where you've been, where you're at, where you're going, and how Beachbody has impacted every aspect of that journey. And then the third thing I want you to do is target new connections that align with that specific life phase that you're in. So by following and connecting with followers of specific accounts that would have a following base and an audience geared towards kind of where you're at, and then also tagging, working with, collaborating, whatever you have to do with accounts that larger accounts that have a following that would align with the life phase that you're in. So I hope that that was helpful. If you guys have any questions or anything, just be sure to post them in the comments below this video, and I'll keep checking back to get them answered. Have a good rest of your evening.